Hello, good morning. It is the 1st of Feb. February is my birthday month and I wanted to do a reading vlog. I did one of these last year and it was kind of fun. I'm not reading much because I don't have a lot of time to, but I still love it. It's one of my goals this year. You can hear my earrings jingle jangling. And I kind of feel a bit insecure when I see all of the other booktubers reading 50 to 200 books a year, and that's just not me. And so I wanted to document. So a couple of days ago I actually finished the last audiobook I was listening to, which was The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak, and then I went on a bit of a podcast break, and so today I'm back and ready to dive into some books. And I had 3 that I've got downloaded and I wasn't sure which one to start reading. So I asked on Instagram stories. Granted, the poll was up for like 5 minutes before I needed to be out of the house and start listening. But the options were Matrescence. I honestly don't know how they're spelling that, by Lucy Jones, which is, I believe, a non-fiction book all about motherhood, but I've heard some like pretty profound things about it. And then Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, which had come recommended from my patrons, but I really don't know anything about. And a couple of months ago I tried to start listening to it and just couldn't get into it, but I was busy, like I wasn't able to like focus on it. I was like, 2 people bumped into each other at a train station and that's all I'm getting. And then Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. And again, that's one that I honestly have no idea what the plot is, but it's come recommended. I've heard good things. So those are my 3, and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow won. So I started listening to that and actually made a good enough dent on the childcare run this morning that I'm like, okay, I'm in. I get it. We've got these 2 characters. It's kind of about gaming, like set in the 90s, but then we've also had a flashback from when one of them is a kid. At least one of the characters are Jewish, maybe both of them are Jewish. Set in the US, LA, Boston so far, maybe other places, we will see. But yeah, I'm excited to dive into that one and we'll see how we go, and maybe we'll get to the other ones as well. But I also have some physical books on the go. So I recently started The Good Enough Parent. I am 50 pages in, and to be honest, I'm not really vibing with it, so this is not going to be a priority. A lot of the things that they're saying are things that I've already picked up from TikTok and Instagram. But then it does like classic school of life stuff, like look at these paintings and like look at the meaning and what it means for modern parenthood, and it gets all like art history and like philosophical on you, which is like classic school of life. But at this point and what I'm after from a parenting help book, I don't care. I understand its value in other contexts, but in this context I'm just like, stop showing off. Oops! We're really getting my honest opinions on these things. But the physical book that I will be prioritizing is Come Together, The Science and Art of Creating Lasting Sexual Connections by Dr. Emily Nagoski. Ooh, my jumper's kind of like matchy-matchy vibes with it. This just recently came out. I actually started it last night. I finished the introduction, so I'm currently on page 3. And this is for the book club that I'm going to be running over on my Patreon, the Doing It Book Club. By the time you're actually seeing this video, we'll probably be done with this book, but if not, I'll leave in the description info. But there will be more books and there will be polls for patrons to like pick what the next books are. And actually, you can probably see some of these books here will definitely be on the short list that I will give to patrons to vote on, because these are my like, I want to read them but I never had time before when I was making sex ed content. So yeah, so there we have it. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Come Together we're gonna start with, and we're gonna see how we go. I mean, I'm definitely not gonna finish this month because I want to keep on track with the chapter check-ins and the timeline that I've set and the schedule for it. So I won't have finished it this month, but we'll be speeding our way through. It's 10:30 in the morning, I'm eating a bag of minstrels and I'm gonna crack on with work, but I will update you as my reading goes this month. I came to the studio because I really need to take any opportunity I have to clear things out, to move out of here. But it means that I made a good dent in Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and I don't know what kind of book it is. I'm gripped, like I'm really into it. I really like the writing, the characters are intriguing to me, the things that are happened are intriguing, but I just don't know what this book is going to be about, and I can't predict it at this point, which makes me feel uncomfortable whilst listening to it. But I kind of like it because I am a big fan of like romance, and with romance you can predict the beats but you enjoy them nonetheless. I don't know what this book is. I'm like, is it a book about video games? Is it going to be a love story? I don't know. Is it going to be a book about Israel and anti-Semitism? I don't know. Is it going to be a book about women in STEM? Like, I don't know what this book is about. Is it a book about friendship? Is it a book about medical trauma? Like, there are so many different directions that this book could go in, and I'm like, lead the way. Lead the way. I don't know where this is going, but I'm along for the ride. I am having a great time with tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. I'm not sure what the title means. I'll have a think about it. I love this book, but I still have no idea where it's going. But maybe that's the point. Maybe it's just like one of those contemporary books where you're just like following a group of people. I was scared that the video game stuff was just going to be like a fleeting thing at the beginning of their story, like when they're in college. But I'm really glad that it's like continued and it's like their profession. I'm into it. I am basically exactly halfway at this point. The gang are in LA. Things are happening with the friendship. Hospital. Surgeries. New game in the works. I'm just really enjoying it. I'm not sure what to expect as we carry on, but I like it. Without really feeling any sort of attachment to the characters either. Like, I kind of don't care about any of them. Not in a I hate them way, but I can't feel myself rooting for them because I don't really know what they want. This is such a strange book, I'm now realizing. Like, I don't know what the characters want. This is kind of blowing my mind a little bit. But I'm absolutely starving. I'm gonna go downstairs and have some lunch and just continue listening to this book. Physical book reading update. I've read the intro and chapter 1, and I just have chapter 2 to read before the weekly check-in for the book club. So that feels good. And the front is already a sticky, oily hand mess. But I'm going into town tomorrow and getting on the tube, so that means I'll have some physical book reading time as well. Right, to lunch. Need to run out of the flat now to go get Rowan, but I'm listening to Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and I feel like I just got the first nugget of like intrigue of where the story is going. Like, there was a bit where it's just like, and whatever happened to Unfair Games on this like future date, and it's like, what's gonna happen to their game production company? And it's kind of giving me like Daisy Jones and the Six vibes, except with Daisy Jones, you know right from the beginning of the book that the band split up, and you're like going through the history of the band and you're gonna find out why and how by the end. And so now my heart like just started racing. I was like, oh my god, is this like what is gonna be happening? So now I'm like, oh okay, I can like feel the tension and the anticipation because I'm starting to think I know what to expect. Not that I know what's gonna happen, but there's like the end point, you know? Like, you can feel what the act 3, like the climax is gonna be, potentially, is leading up to this date of the friendships, of the relationships breaking down, of the company breaking down. I'm intrigued. I've been enjoying the book in a like calm, casual way up until now, and then as soon as I heard that, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Now there's this date looming over me as I listen. Okay, but I really need to go now. I'm just making dinner. Rowan's playing in his room with Dan, and I'm listening to the book, and it just hit a cliffhanger that I wasn't expecting. And then the next chapter is an entirely different narrator's voice. And it made me remember at the beginning when it was just like, this is Tomorrow, Tomorrow, Tomorrow by blah, 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 and narrated by, and it was 2 names. 2 names. And I'd forgotten about that. I remember being like, at the beginning, like, oh, I've not heard the second narrator yet, and then forgot about it. But now, like 2/3 of the way in, the second narrator is here. What does it mean? What's happened? Ugh. I'm in town. I was going to read some of my physical book, Come Together, on the tube, but I feel like I'm in the home stretch with Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. It is so good. We got to the point where the title of the book is kind of explained, and that was very, very satisfying. And I almost cried on the tube. So love that for me. But now I am at the British Museum because somebody on one of my previous videos recommended that I go to the fantasy exhibition here. And so I'm treating myself as one of my artist dates for the Artist's Way that I'm doing. And then also it felt appropriate as part of this reading vlog as well, because it's all like bookish fantasy worlds, and I'm excited to see what's in there. And I've never been to anything at the British Library before, so be fun. That was such a cool exhibition. It was so well constructed with like the production design and the sets of it as well. It was amazing. And I'm such a big fan of fantasy books where they have the maps at the beginning of the books. And there are lots of maps in this exhibition, especially like hand-drawn ones by the author. Amazing. And then in the gift shop I picked up Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I love the film, but I've never read any Neil Gaiman, and I loved the Netflix adaptation of The Sandman as well. But yeah, it's gonna be my first Neil Gaiman, and the colours of that cover, like the green and the orange, love it. Will I read this in this reading vlog this month? Who knows? But that was really cool. And now I'm excited to stick on the rest of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. It felt really cool as well that there was a lot of like video game worlds, fantasy worlds and stuff in that exhibit. And I'm currently listening to a book that is a lot about video games and the making of video games. And so, I don't know, it just felt like it was good timing. It was all like tying together. But yeah, it's so pretty. Good morning. So yesterday I finished Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and I loved that book. I wasn't expecting to, but it just swept me away. It took me on a journey. I also loved the narrator. Like, I found her voice just so soothing in telling the story, but it was such a weird reading experience because I just didn't know what to expect with this book. I had no idea what it was about going into it. And I just couldn't feel the beats of the narrative in order to kind of like, you know, like get settled in. And so you can kind of like comfortably go along for the ride. I felt like I was like always on my toes of like, I don't really know what's gonna happen, and wasn't expecting that. But the whole story was just like really lovely, but also really frustrating and really sad. I feel like the book managed to touch on so many issues. Like, it talked about mental health, class, race, trauma, grief, sexuality, unhealthy relationships, disability. Like, it covered all of these things, but without it feeling like this tick box exercise. To me, it just felt like humanness, like life. Like, that's just the reality of the world that we live in. Like, people's lives and experiences will touch on all of these things without it, I don't know, feeling like it's some sort of point is being made, I guess, or it's being forced in any way. I loved the backdrop of the like video games and the video game company, and about like creativity and how people work together. That was really cool, and I don't think I've read any books about the like video game industry. A lot of books about the publishing industry because authors love to write about publishing, but not video games. And I really liked that. Also, there were moments in this book that were like giving me Taylor Jenkins Reid energy, because our main characters are like successful video game designers. They're semi-famous. They have a successful video game company, like hundreds of thousands, millions of people play their games and love them. And there's like a few like flash forwardy scenes to like interviews that they give about their games and about their like work process and the behind the scenes and all of that. And yeah, it was giving me Taylor Jenkins Reid vibes because of the kind of like touching on a celebrity world, like a kind of celebrity world, and kind of following not just like what is happening to the characters, but the public perception of the characters, and then how that public perception impacts the characters' behavior. I don't know, it's giving me those vibes. But yeah, I really love that book, despite the fact it was very frustrating that our main characters can seemingly hold a grudge and not communicate for years. These two people, they know how to hold a grudge, and it was painful to watch them not be friends. But this morning I started listening to Matrescence, which is about the metamorphosis of pregnancy, birth, and motherhood. And already I'm like, oof. I feel like this book is going to be very cathartic, but also very, I don't know, frustrating, making me angry. I don't know. Maybe reassuring, maybe feeling like a bit of a hug in a book. I don't know, we'll see. So far it's just kind of like, yeah, it's hitting me. I'm only at the beginning, so we'll see how this goes. Reading update. It is Monday the 12th, and February is a short month, albeit a long one this year. So we're like almost halfway through, and I basically got no reading done this weekend because we were away. So I was like with Dan and Rowan and our friends the entire time. So no reading got done. But I have been listening to Matrescence, and oh my goodness, I'm like 2/3 of the way through now, so I feel like I'm gonna finish that quite soon. Oh my god, but it's one of those books, it is like so full of so much research that I'm just like, oh my god, yes. Maternal mental health, like feeling isolated, lack of social support and structure, like all of the like pressures to like have it all together and be loving every minute. I'd just listened to a bit about sleep deprivation. That felt very confronting, but it's hard to take it all in because there's like so much in there in terms of like being able to have a conversation and being like, oh, did you know? I read it in a book. I feel like this is possibly one of those books where I'm gonna like listen to it the whole way through now just to kind of like get an overall like wash of like what it's trying to say. But then if in the future I ever want to like reference it of like, wait, what was that thing that she said in that book about postnatal depression? Like, what was that thing? Then I'll probably get the physical copy so I can like physically see it all and like more easily reference. Because I find like clipping things and bookmarking things like in audiobook form, that's just like not a like habit that I have, and it's more difficult to do because I don't always like have the ability to like get my phone out to like clip something as I'm like doing stuff and listening. But hey, the other thing that I'm obviously reading is Come Together, and I've made a little dent in the chapter for this week. But at the beginning of the chapter, Emily says this is like the longest, most sciencey chapter. So I'm like, okay, great. I need to find some time to read this. But our like weeks in terms of the book club are like currently Wednesday to Wednesday because the 1st of Feb was a Wednesday. But I have, can you see? This much. It's about 50 pages, just under 50 pages to read by Wednesday. So I've got 3 days. It's gonna be fine. I've got a bus journey on Wednesday, so I can do some reading then. But yeah, that's my update. I'm in very like non-fiction right now. So I think definitely after I finish Matrescence, I'm gonna pick a fiction book. And I currently have Lessons in Chemistry downloaded, so I think that might be next. But also I'm really missing sci-fi and fantasy, especially after going to that exhibit. So I think I might need to find some more sci-fi and fantasy to read. Will I get round to it in this vlog? Only time will tell. Oh my god. This bit in Matrescence just got me on my walk back from dropping Rowan off. I mean, there's so much like research and all of that in this book, but then she tells this anecdote of going to the garden centre with her 2 kids. She's got baby strapped to her in the sling and the toddler is like not having it with walking. So she has to pick the toddler up as well. So she's carrying both of her children through the garden centre. And then this woman comes up to her and is like, your shoelaces are undone, you might slip. And my brain and body like immediately went into like fuck you response, because that to me just like epitomizes all of the ways that people just like point out the things that you're doing wrong that could potentially harm your children, and then they go off on their merry way and they don't help you. So I was like ready for a fight. And then the next thing I know, she says that the woman tied her shoelaces for her. And then this happened. And if that story and my response to it doesn't tell you about what mums need. Okay. Oh. What a book! What a book! We are halfway through this month and I finished Matrescence and I loved it so much that I've ordered it from my local bookshop because I want a physical copy, because I feel like I'm gonna want to like reference it and reread it and scribble and underline things and all of that. So hopefully maybe they already have it or they'll have it soon and so I can go pick that up. But I've started listening to the 3rd book that I already had downloaded ready to go, which is Lessons in Chemistry. And as you can see, I've already made a pretty good dent in it. And immediately I'm in. Like, I love the narrator's voice, just the way that the story was being told. I was just like, oh, okay, there's no like work my brain has to do to immediately like grasp who these characters are and what's happening. I love an easy read. And then it helps when the narrator sounds nice in my ears too. So I'm enjoying that so far. The kind of like anticipated, you sort of know it's gonna happen, but you don't know like really what or how is gonna happen. Like that's just happened. That's just happened. So I feel like, I don't know, the story is now going to start, you know? We just like had all of that like prologue. And now we shall see what's up. What's around? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm also this far into Come Together. What are we on? Page 103. But I'm just plodding along at this at the pace that we have set for the book club. So this week, 2 more chapters this week. Where does that bring us up to? We're doing chapters 5 and 6, I think. 147. There. Bam. This much. I need to read this week. Oh, do you know what? I've not given this book a good sniff. It's fine. Nothing to write home about. Right, okay. Oh, apparently Matrescence is only available in hardback and it's £25. I don't like a dust jacket. I might need to check if there's a dust jacket because I might wait until it's in paperback because I've already read it. That was very quick of them getting back to me. Anyway, but before we continue with the rest of this monthly reading vlog, I wanted to tell you about this video sponsor, which is Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for creators, freelancers, and entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out in the freelance world or you're a small business owner, Squarespace makes it super easy to build your own websites, engage with your audience, and sell anything from physical and digital products to courses and your time, all in one place, all on your terms. I use Squarespace for all of my professional websites and they have really beautiful and flexible website templates. So you just pick the right one for you and then you can customize it with all of your own branding and your content. It is super easy. And then they have loads of different features and you can just add different ones depending on what your needs are. Their Fluid Engine website design system is really intuitive and powerful. It allows you to build websites with just drag and drop technology, which is really handy for those of us who know nothing about website design. It really makes the whole thing accessible to anyone, no matter what your skill level. You can make yourself a really professional, beautiful looking website. And having your website on Squarespace makes it really easy to learn how to grow your business as well with all of the analytics tools that Squarespace provides. You get insights about site visits, traffic sources, search terms, most popular content and products, so you can figure out what's working and what's not working to help improve your content and your website. So if you want to or you need to build yourself a website, then head to squarespace.com to start your free trial, and then when you are ready to launch into the world, you can go to squarespace.com/morehannah to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, on with the reading. Hi. It's very difficult for me to vlog reading updates on the weekend just because there's a lot going on. Also, it was my birthday yesterday because this is a birthday month reading vlog, and oh boy, am I reading a lot. But I've got like half an hour left of lessons in chemistry, so I'm probably gonna finish that today. I've also got a lot of tube journeys, so I'm gonna be taking Come Together on the tube with me because I'm not working this week. I'm doing like fun things, going out and about in London. But yeah, I'm gonna use my tube journeys to crack on with Come Together, because was my New Year's resolution goal or whatever this year to read more in bed. I've not been very good at that, but also Dan has not been kicking me out of this room when we've been just like hanging out on the sofa together, and I've told him that he needs to do it, and he's also just like, I do want you to leave, but I feel mean telling you to leave. Like, tell me to leave. But lessons in chemistry, I'm really enjoying. I had a bit of a teary moment with it walking back from dropping off Rowan today. It was like kind of crescendo moment. I feel like we're really in the climax of the book now of like, you know, realizing who the different people are, because the kind of like family tree mystery element of the book I didn't really clock until later on, and I was like, oh, it's a mystery as well. Like whose father and mother is who, and like how these people are all connected, which I like. I just love so many of the characters in this book, like all of the kind of like characters around Elizabeth, the main character, are just all so good. Like Harriet, Walter, Frask, even Wakely, like all of these characters that are kind of like the key people in her life are just, yeah, they're all just great characters. And you're kind of like rooting for all of them for all the different reasons. It's just a very fun, easy and entertaining read. And I know that it's like, you know, about sexism in the 1950s. Like, she's a lady chemist. Women can't do science. All of that. But it is also a book. Like, there's a lot of like, yeah, vindicated like moments at the end where like the bad men get what's coming to them and the women prevail. Yeah, go women, they beat sexism, which doesn't feel historically accurate to me, but it's a book. It's a work of fiction and it's entertaining, and as an author you have to make a choice. Are you gonna go like, we're just gonna make the reader really depressed and sad, or we're gonna like give them some hope? And this book is definitely like in the hopeful route. But yeah, I know it's been made into a TV show as well, but it's on Apple and I don't have Apple TV. Is it worth watching? Has anyone watched it? I'm very much enjoying the book. Also, Dan had such an Elizabeth Zott moment the other day. Okay, so for context, Elizabeth Zott is a scientist. She's a chemist. Because of the sexism of the 1950s, 60s, wherever we are, she has found herself hosting a cooking show on TV, but she takes it very seriously because cooking is chemistry, and she often uses the like chemical process and the chemical reaction and terms for talking about cooking and like ingredients and proteins and blah, 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 all of that. Cut to me cooking some onions on the pan the other night, and Dan comes over and says, ooh, they're blah, 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 really nicely. And I was like, what on earth are you talking about? He was like, oh, that's just what browning is. And I was like, you could have said they're browning nicely. But he like literally said the chemical reaction term of what was happening. And I was like, excuse me, Elizabeth? What are you doing in my kitchen? So that was very funny. I can't actually remember what the chemical reaction term for browning was, but Dan knows it apparently, because cooking is chemistry. I'm going to check back in once I've finished lessons in chemistry, because those are my 3 audiobooks. What were they? Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, Matrescence, and Lessons in Chemistry that I had like ready downloaded to go for this month. And I've steamed through them, and we've still got like a good week and a bit left of this month. So I know that a lot of people have left book recommendations on my goals video when I asked for them, specifically asking for like sci-fi and fantasy recommendations. And after going to that fantasy exhibit, as well. I'm definitely missing some fantasy in my life. Like last year, basically all I read was Brandon Sanderson, Stormlight Archive and Mistborn series. And then this month has just been very heavy in like contemporary novels and non-fiction. And I miss my sci-fi and fantasy genre. So I'm gonna have a little look at some of your recommendations, I think, for what my next audiobook is going to be. And I want it to be a sci-fi or fantasy book, because I don't think I've not read any sci-fi or fantasy yet this year. So I want to do that. I will update you. I'm gonna try and read a bit of this before Rowan inevitably does his first wake up and I join him in bed. I've got 10 pages left of the chapters that I need to read for tomorrow, so that'll be nice and easy. I can always finish it on the tube tomorrow. But also I need an audiobook for the childcare run tomorrow, and I have been going through the comments on that goals video where I asked for book recommendations like sci-fi fantasy. I started making this mad list and I'm really overwhelmed by it, but there was like a few people, like 3 or 4 people, who were passionately mentioning Robin Hobb, and that stood out to me. And then I remember when I went to the fantasy exhibit, I saw a whole collection of books that they had on display that I think were Robin Hobb, because I remember filming them because I was like, this seems familiar, because I must have remembered the name from the comments. And then re-looking over the comments now, Robin Hobb is there a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up Robin Hobb and figure out where I should start, because these fantasy authors, they be writing a lot. Oh, like literally the first thing that comes up like in auto thingy on Google is Robin Hobb reading order. What should we do? So there's the Live Ship Traders trilogy, the Farseer trilogy, the Rain Wild Chronicles, Royal Assassin. Oh, Jesus Christ. Everyone's gonna have different opinions. Oh God, all 13 books are set in the same world. Oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? The one that came up is the Assassin's Apprentice or something? I don't know which. Oh, that's the Farseer trilogy. Okay, so maybe we just start there. We could start there. Wow, Robin Hobb, 71 years old. Oh, here we go. I found a picture. Welcome to the world of Robin Hobb. Here comes... Have you heard of Robin Hobb? Fantasy author?
I've heard.
No, Robin Hobb. She's been recommended a lot. Okay, so do we go with the Assassin's Apprentice? We need to check the narrator voice as well. That's very important, obviously. Robin. First one that comes up is Assassin's Apprentice. So maybe this is like the most famous one. Farseer trilogy, book 1. Realms of the Elderlings, book 1. Wait, it's like book 1 in 2 different series. Just right.
The Assassin's Apprentice, I recognise that.
Yeah. Heard good things?
Yeah, I think it's
Should we listen to? Narrated by Paul Boehmer.
There is nothing. But on that day they suddenly begin, with a brightness and detail that overwhelms me.
Overwhelms.
Sometimes it seems...
Oh, I love an H. Overwhelms.
I don't know if that's him doing a character.
He could be doing a character.
And I wonder if it is truly mine. Am I recalling it from my own mind, or from dozens of retellings by legions of kitchen maids and ranks of scullions and herds of stable boys?
And it's 17 hours and 18 minutes long. Is it my turn to get into a fantasy author first?
Yeah.
Right, let's get this. Mum is starting a new series. Okay, well, I'm gonna start that on my walk tomorrow morning. That's exciting. I don't even know what it's about. I'm just gonna go in like not knowing a thing. But let's read a little bit more of this. Ah, fun. What fun. Hey, we're in the home stretch. Basically got like 3 days left of reading in this month. There are 4 days left in this month though, but on that final leap day, the 29th, I will be on a train to Manchester. So not really gonna get any reading done with a toddler. Like if I was on my own on the train, yes, I'd get loads of reading done, but no, I'll be on the train with a toddler. But I wanted to give you a little update on where I'm at with my reading this month. So I finished Lessons in Chemistry, as you know, and I started reading The Assassin's Apprentice. I have sped through this book. I'm like over halfway through on the old audio book. Hold up. There you go. That's how far through I am. I'm not into it. I feel like it could be a slow burn. Here's how I'm feeling about it. So on a micro level, it's good storytelling. Like the writing is good, the characters are fine. Like as I'm listening to it on a like sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, chapter by chapter basis, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm following along on this story. What a nice story. But I'm not invested at all in the like macro level of this book, which is what I want from my fantasy, from my romance, from my contemporary. Like I can go in, I can just only care about the narrator or like a conversation that they have or whatever. But with fantasy, like I could just be reading historical fiction at this point. There's like early on, there's a mention of like a certain power that he has, but then it's like getting suppressed. And like only now halfway through the book, over halfway through the book, is he now getting trained in another power that he has or can learn, the skill, and then the other one, the wit. I don't know. But these are just like so vaguely mentioned, they're not like massively part of the world building at this point. And then there's this other kind of like fantastical element thing that's happening with like these raiders from the overseas, and they're like turning people into something or other, the Forged, which is kind of like a bit of a fantasy mystery of like what's happening there. But our main character is a boy. Well, he's a teenager now, but we've followed him from age 6 to like 14 years old at this point. And so he's not massively interested in like the global politics of the world that he has found himself in. But I am interested in that, and I want to know about it. This boy child isn't telling me any of it. So I can feel my frustrations when I'm reading this book because it is not scratching the fantasy itch that I have. Like, it's too soft magic for me. It's too vague. There's not enough political intrigue. Like, the stakes are not high. Like, I don't care about any of these characters. This book was recommended by so many people and this series is so popular. And I'm like, is it one of those ones that's just like a slow burn and it gets better in like book 2, book 3? Because I will admit, like I wasn't a massive fan of the first book of either of the Mistborn arcs, but gone on to love the Mistborn series as a whole, especially that first arc, like blew me away. But I always loved the world building in those. It was more the I'm not like other girls trope that was in the first book that I didn't vibe with, but I'm struggling. I will finish it because, like I said, it's not offending me on a micro level. Like, it's pleasant enough to listen to and like follow along with the story, but it's not scratching my fantasy itch. I'm not discovering new powers, new creatures. Like, I want something that's gonna give me like Brandon Sanderson, or like the political intrigue of like Game of Thrones, or like all of the different stuff in like His Dark Materials. Like, that's what I want. That's what I want. When is Philip Pullman going to release the next book in the, what's it called? The Book of Dust trilogy. When is that coming out? I feel like it's been years since The Secret Commonwealth. I loved that book, even though I don't remember what happened in it now. It's been so long. Yeah, so Assassin's Apprentice. Meh so far. The second half of this book better pick up. I need more political intrigue, more magic, more different creatures, like not just humans. Anyway, and then these are obviously the other 2 books that I've got going on. I read a little bit more of this. So the chapter I'm currently in is all about living in bodies, and I love the way that she frames health and disability and just like the fact that we all have bodies. And she very much frames it in the way that I've been thinking about disability and health, in terms of it just like being always in flux and like on a spectrum, and you don't have like disabled and then non-disabled people, because eventually, you know, if you're lucky enough to like grow old, everyone becomes disabled at some point. And then there's this bit where she says, wait, isn't this a sex book? Why is this big section about pain, injury, disability and illness in here? Friend, this is a book about sex in long-term relationships. If you're not already in an interabled relationship, if you stay with someone long enough, eventually you will be. Thank you, Emily. So yes, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that moment. It was good. More people need to hear it. And then The Artist's Way, again, this is a one I'm reading week by week, and you will actually get a whole vlog of my experience of doing this 12-week course, guided thing, the classic course in discovering and recovering your creative self. Anyway, whatever. I'm on week 9. Am I on week 9? I'm on week 9 is where we're at, but I won't give too much away. So there we are. I am over 12 hours into this book, 5 hours left, and I'm still getting absolute crumbs of world building and anything like bigger than what is just happening directly to our main character. However, we've got some things happening that actually feel that there are stakes. There's like a sense of urgency, there's some tension. I'm actually feeling a bit like, ooh, what's gonna happen next? Which I haven't felt throughout the rest of this book. So we'll see. Maybe things are gonna pick up in this final like third quarter of the book. I really hope it does. Oh my goodness, I did it. I literally just finished listening to The Assassin's Apprentice whilst frantically packing and getting ready and getting Rowan ready and doing things. I'm not really sure how much I took in, to be honest, because I wanted to finish this vlog because it is the 29th of February, it's the end of this reading month, and we have to leave in like less than 30 minutes to go get on a train to Manchester. But yes, as predicted, things did pick up a bit in Assassin's Apprentice. Not so much that I'm intrigued about the next book and the rest of the series, I'm not sure. Somebody in my DMs as well, when I mentioned I was reading Assassin's Apprentice on Instagram, was like, yeah, the first book's a bit of a slog, but the ending is good and the whole series. So many people are raving about how good this series is. I don't know. I feel like there are other books that I'll want to read instead, and then maybe I'll revisit it at some other point. But yeah, I did get into it at the end, and there was a lot more like of the political intrigue, the urgency, the high stakes, like things felt like they were actually happening. I just think it wasn't really for me because the main character that you'll spend the entire book with is so young. By the end, it became clear to me that obviously all of this political intrigue and all of like the moving of the chess pieces, it's all happening. Our character, our like POV just doesn't know about it. That isn't a reading experience that I particularly enjoy. Like, I want to feel the urgency and the stakes in that kind of genre, like from the beginning. Like, it's not a bad book because it was really well written and I listened to the entire thing. It just, yeah, it didn't hit the spot, didn't scratch that itch. But I wanted to wrap up this month as well with checking in on my stats. That's my computer turning on. I need to update the story graph and let's see how much I read this month. I'm intrigued. I feel like I got through a lot. I feel like last year, because I read so many Brandon Sanderson books, look at that computer light. Ooh. I wasn't reading a lot like quantity because those books are like 50 hours long, some of them. But this month I read a lot more like just normal literary fiction. What is that genre? Like, what is literary as a genre? I just don't get it. Okay, let's add our things. So why not? Let's do a little screen record because that'll be nice and fun, won't it? Let's do this. So Assassin's Apprentice, mark as finished. I have finished this book. Let's add a little review. It was somewhat adventurous. It was, what was it? A bit mysterious, a bit tense at the end, mostly relaxing, medium pace. It was character driven. Strong character development? Yeah. Lovable? Yeah. Diverse? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. It's fantasy, I don't know. Flaws? Main focus? No. I'd give it a 3. Sorry. Wasn't wasn't my vibe. Save. This is, oh goodness, right. And then I just want to update page count on these ones. So the Artist Way, I'm now at 163 pages. Obviously, I'm just like reading that week by week, 68% of the way through. And then Come Together, how far through this book am I? 200, page 200. Boom. Look at that. And then The Good Enough Parent, forgot about that one. That has stayed here this entire reading vlog. Do you know, I think I'm gonna just DNF it. DNF. How do I mark as DNF? Did not finish. Sorry. Awkward. There we go. Now I need to figure out what to read next. / listen to next. But I'm not really gonna get a chance to do any audiobook listening this weekend because we're away visiting family. But let's do it. Stats. Let's do the month of February. Let's go. So, this is always so fun. Oh, I read 4 books this month. I'm impressed with myself. 649 pages and 41.23 hours. The main moods were emotional, sad, reflective, inspiring, but the massive chunk of emotional. I've had an emotional month. One of my favorite things about Storygraph is at the end of the year, like the mood graph that they give you. So cool. So cool. Mostly medium pace. We haven't actually finished any physical books. We've only just been like reading them week by week. So this page number doesn't exist. Audio book length, mostly in the under 16 minutes, and then 1 chunky one. I think that was probably Assassin's Apprentice. 3 fiction, 1 non-fiction. What non-fiction book did I finish this month? Oh yeah, Matrescence. Duh. And there we have it. 2 literary, 1 historical, 1 fantasy, 1 contemporary. So what's Lessons in Chemistry? Yeah, that's historical, I guess. It's set in the 1960s. Format, audio, ratings. Did I not rate? What? Why is there only 2 ratings there? Did I not rate the other books? Hold up. Assassin's Apprentice. Oh yeah, no, I've not added reviews for Lessons. Okay, oh, right. This was emotional, hopeful, inspiring. Why not? It was pretty fast-paced. It was very character-driven. Character development. Is there any character development? She stays the same throughout that. Yes, the characters are lovable. Diverse? I don't think so. There's a lot of white women. Flaws? No, not really. I don't know. I love this book. We'll give it a 5. Boom. And then the other one that I hadn't reviewed was Matrescence. I normally add reviews straight away. This was challenging, emotional, dark, funny, hopeful, informative, inspiring, reflective, sad. It was a lot of things. This gets a 5, solid 5, love, love, love. Okay, back to the stats. February, there we go. Oh, look at that. I loved all the books, except the last one. Sorry. And then I would ignore this graph. This graph, I never like actually update it daily. This isn't actually reflective of all of the reading that I do. I just update it as and when. Usually when I finish a book. Each of these will be like when I finished a book. But yeah, there we go. Let's look at overall for 2024. 7 books, emotional and reflective. Literary and contemporary seem to be the main ones. And there we go. There's the beginnings of my 2024 reading graph. What fun! What fun! But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm definitely keen for some sci-fi recommendations next. Anything kind of similar to Becky Chambers, Andy Weir and Laura Lamb. Intrigued in that realm. And I think the next bookish video that is going to be on this channel will be organising these home bookshelves once I get all of my books from the studio home. And then we're going to need to like completely reorganise this, potentially get books on those shelves in the living room as well. So that's going to be a bit of a project, but I'm excited. Yeah, I hope you're all doing well and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!